Okay, folks, good evening. Make sure everything is correct. And boy, this is zoomed in big time. Let's zoom this out a little bit. There we go. Okay, we're back with some more painting. And we got to do some basing on the T-34s, which are complete. And before we get into that, we're going to go ahead and dry brush these two bases, which are for the two martyrs. So let's get our little dry brush thing over here and get some Iraqi sand on there. Oh, I gotta use the other one first. US Field Drab and Iraqi sand, and we will do that. I think this is the one I used, yeah, something like that. Thank goodness it's Friday. You know it. Hey, Rick, happy Friday. But you work from home, so every day's Friday. Oh, man. Maybe not. It sure seems that way for those of us that have to dress up to go to work. So we're going to go ahead and do the basing on, put these up to par here for the martyrs, only one of which is complete. Of course, we still don't have a crew. Not working on a crew in the evenings. It's just too big an ask. I'm tired. I'm tired, and I just don't have the attention span for it right now. Actually, I don't have the caffeine for it. Is what I don't need to be drinking coffee at this time of night. I'll be up all night. End up having a crazy dream like I did the other night. Kind of dreams I wish I'd make a movie about. But then you have to be on drugs for it to make sense. You know those dreams you wake up and you're like, man, I'm gonna write this down. And then, and you don't. And like half an hour later, you're like, that ain't worth writing down. What the hell's wrong with you? Things that make sense as soon as you wake up, and then 30 minutes later, you're like, what the hell? So I am not looking forward to actually taking this stuff off because this has been sitting a while. I'm guessing at least 2 months. So this is going to be like rock. This is going to be like chiseling rock. I have a feeling. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. Too much of that on there. It's like peanut butter. A big smear of peanut butter. And it's going to be covered underneath the vehicle, so. Okay, now we do the Iraqi sand. Yeah, it's just a matter of, I don't really like hopping around like this, but if you want to keep moving, you need to do it. Or there's going to be an intermission between stuff, because some things just take some time to finish in between them. So I'm pretty much confident to report I am rattle can free at this point. The other night I actually did some sealing. I'd already done priming with the same primer that I brush on, which that's fortunate because I really like that product. And I don't know, it's almost like it works even better in an airbrush, but we primed with that, and I sealed with the new airbrush thinner. Not thinner, but the airbrush matte. And you'll see in a second, these vehicles are extremely flat. You're on call tomorrow, but working from home makes that easier too. That's right. You just can't have a wild party. Actually, you just can't host a wild party. You're on call when somebody says, I want to speak to a manager. Oh, shit. I really don't mind dealing with people on the phone as long as I'm dealing with people that deal with people. But like people on the street, like regular customers, oh, they suck. Especially if it's somebody who's been stepped on all day long, and then you got to deal with them, you know. Okay, I think we're good here with these two. All right, this always seems like it's in a wrong location. Probably because every location is the wrong location. Let's get a paper towel out here. And we will bid you adieu. See ya. All right. Now while that dries, let's go back to the T34s, which we've got to put all 4 of them on here. And these, let's see if I can do a comparison here. Let's take a vehicle that was sealed, the same color vehicle that was sealed using a different sealant. And the only reason you seal these things is so in handling them, they don't get messed up. Now this is a vehicle I'm particularly proud of. It's a T70 from Plastic Soldier Company. And it has a spray matte finish on it from a rattle can. I forget which brand it is. It's not Krylon, but it's something like that. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby or wherever. So you have to go really, really thin with it. You have to go really, really easy because it'll pool on here and it'll mess with the paint. It'll like lift it up or something, you know, if it's too thick. But I'm pretty happy with how this vehicle turned out. And I'm going to show you another vehicle that I did with the spray flat. And you can see how much flatter it is. Maybe you can't. There you go. Well, maybe it's not that noticeable. But anyhow, this is super flat. And, you know, you want it to be super flat because you go through all this effort of putting these shadows and these shines and these edges for you to see, and you don't want there to be some kind of a gloss that distracts you from getting there. So, what was really nice about this, and I forget which one it is, it's like it's a Vallejo airbrush flat matte, and I airbrushed it with through the new airbrush, and it's real thin, and it's so thin that I can go around, do one side, do all of it, and then come back around to it and hit it again because it's almost like dry as the touch. So, really happy with the results on that. Don't know how durable it is, but it's extremely flat. So, you know, Mr. Nordic, the 2 usual suspects. So this is, I had my first positive experience with the airbrush. Now, I'm planning on getting rid of all the rattle cans. So it's literally no mess, zero smell. I can spray in here if I had a spray booth. I don't have really the real estate for a spray booth. I could if I got rid of the couch, but which is not ideal. It's, you know, I got this one wall that has a window in the middle of it, and you really can't do anything else with it. So, but I could spray in here. It's funny. The only thing, bless you. Yeah, of course. No one, for no reason whatsoever. The only smell that there is a compressor. The compressor has like a faint smell of like oil, if you can imagine that. You know, it's a cheapy compressor. You know, it's still $150, but you know, still a cheapy compressor with the tank. And I'm slowly getting the hang of it. So I gotta take the thing apart because I've cleaned it. I've used it 4 times now, and this last time I used it, I got tons of thinner that I made. So running cleaner through it isn't an issue. But I gotta take it apart because it's towards the end it wasn't blowing any liquid out. So, you know, it's super easy to take apart. I just didn't want to do it in the dark. You know, because it's just in the evenings already. You have a couple rattle can spray primers. One's brown, used for terrain making purposes. The other one is some white primer given to me, never used it. Just deciding what to fire up. All 8 cylinders. So I'm really happy with this product. And now comes the part I'm gonna really dread. And that is how this is gonna be awful. It's gonna be awful by how hard I expect this to be. Now, don't move on me. Now, how wide are they? About that wide, okay. You can always go wider because you're not going to see that. I got a nice little setup in the garage, and it's so not a mess. It's scary. Oh boy, this is gonna be. Oh, I'm gonna work my forearms out on this thing. I am gonna be sorry that I did not mess with this until now. Good Lord. All right, any liquids that are here, move out of the way before I don't want to bump into them. $50% off President's Day. Is that a holiday? The dead presidents. Like a bank holiday. Like, we have your money, now you can't get to it. Ha 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 ha! We're taking off. Ha ha ha! Joke's on you, I don't need the bank to be open. I use a credit card and then just pay it off every month. All the bills in one place. It makes it a lot easier. I never carry any cash with me. You know, oh, we're going to charge you money to access your own money. Well, screw you, I just won't even use it. You need to do a walk around on the rest of your house. I know you have a Lego room. I have no idea what you have upstairs. I mean, you don't need to show me your bedroom, but what else do you got? What else do you decorate your house with when you're a single dude? I remember when I lived alone. I lived alone many years. Let's just say the kitchen was not... You have a lot more hardware in the kitchen than I ever did. I had a microwave, and that's about it. I don't need anything else. I had nothing in the refrigerator except cold cuts. I'd have like potato chips and something like that. I think at that point I got the idea of having breakfast from one guy at work. He's like, oh, I'll just grab a Pop-Tart and just eat it in the car, not even toasted. I can't imagine eating a Pop-Tart now, but soda, didn't even have any beer. Just, you know, I'm a social drinker. I'm not going to drink alone. That's stupid. Drinking's not that important for me, but if it is, I don't drink alone. Oh no, I can't see where this line is. Poopy diaper. All right, let's see if we can. Posters of hot women. No, I didn't have any of those. I had one room that we played in, which was the loft, that probably measured, if I tell you what size it is, I'm probably exaggerating. I know that it had like an 8x10 table in there, and there was space to walk all the way around it. So I'm guessing it was 13 or 14 feet wide by 15, something like that. It is a big freaking, big freaking table. But at that time, the only thing we played, honestly, I didn't use it that much, because just when I got that place, our local group kind of disbanded. So I just live in a very transient place, and those damn students come and go. But, we used to play naval games, so, 8x8 foot table. Not these, I'll play a naval game on a 4x6. Yeah, that's not big enough. That's not big enough. But we played a couple times. And so around the perimeter of that room, I had these flags. I had all my, which I don't know where the hell they are. They're here somewhere. 3 foot by 5 foot flags, and they were, an American. It's all World War II stuff. American one, I had a British one, an Italian one. Yes, I had the one with a crooked spider, and a Soviet one, and Japanese rising sun, and French. I think that covers them all the major nations of World War II. So it was the Italian World War II flag. That looks the same, except it's got an emblem in the center. Not a fascist emblem. It's just it's like a royal emblem, like a shield. So you could do that back then and not get canceled. Hey, somebody's got to fight the Nazis. Somebody's got to be the Nazi. It's just how it works, You don't have to be the Nazi. You just play the part of them. There you go. Okay, that one's good. All right. Next one. I'll send you a poster of me if you want. You have the ability to set up a 4x6 gaming table, and I go and buy another particle board. I can stretch that to 4x8. So I hear there's a thing that several people play on ping pong tables, because I think I came across a manufacturer for like mats that said, these are ping ball, because they make them 4x4, 4x6, whatever, 4x6 extended, and then like ping pong table size regulation. I'm like, what? Which I guess is like 5 by, who knows? I would rather play chess than play ping pong, and that's saying a lot. Well, chess doesn't stress me out, and ping pong just makes me, you know, feel like I got ADD. I can't play ping pong. Okay, we're here, so let's go in about there, okay? And likewise, we are here. Let's go back here. And it was somebody I came across playing on a ping pong table. So I'm like, well, let's see how much those things cost. Well, they're all over the place. You know, wider than 4 feet is a problem. You're going to be climbing on it, generally. Noble Shield, welcome. Table size, biggest issue for me because of limited space. Yeah. You see that guy that's doing the naval gaming? He's doing it with 1/700 scale models. I know his game is condensed enough, but man, it's got to be really condensed. You loved playing ping pong at university. You used to go to the dorm rec center to play. I can't imagine living in a dorm. I can't imagine sharing a room with someone. Like, not even having your own bedroom. And I don't mean, you know, because I'm into weird shit. Not that I'm not that I am. You need your own space doesn't have a toilet in it to think. And, you know, if your room could be small. It could be, you know. Okay, let's get claustrophobic here. I don't know. 6 foot by 8 foot. That'd be really small. What are them mini houses? Micro houses or whatever. And, you know, those micro houses are just like those smart cars, okay? You think, micro house, oh, it ought to be cheap as shit. No, it's not. You know? Smart car, oh, it ought to be really efficient on gas. No, it's not. Aha! Marketing ploy. I can't imagine living somewhere that you don't have. It doesn't have to be a big room. It doesn't even have to be a wargaming space. Just your own space to, when you just want everybody to shut the F up and go and do your own thing. Be like working in an office and not having a door that closes. If I ever get another gaming table, it has to be at least 4x6, if not bigger. My current table has a recessed area of 3x5 and one toppers on it about 5.5 by 3.5. You don't have one of them. What were those people that were doing all those ads for a couple of years ago, like Geek Gaming or some shit like that? They were like these multiple $1,000 tables. I mean, they're nice, but I don't think I'd let anybody with that has a drink in their hand anywhere near it. They're just too nice. They're too nice for gamers, that's for sure. It had a funny name like that, like Geek Nerd Burglar Tables or something. No, it wasn't. That'd be too cool if they had that name. Although there is like a Twitter page. It's either a Twitter page or a Reddit page that they took Nerd Burglar from. I'd assume. Yeah, the dorm was a challenge, but I was only in the dorm for 3 semesters before I got myself to an apartment because I lived up for 250 miles from university. Yeah, the original Geek Chic, that's what it is, were insanely expensive. Like over 10, yeah. A table doesn't cost 10 grand. It just sits there, okay? You know? You can have a car or a table. No, there's no moving parts in a frickin' table, you know? You know, it costs 10 times what a TV cost. I'm not in the market for a television, but man, that's the one thing that's dropped in price like crazy. Like crazy. Some of them are like too cheap. I'm like, is this going to work when I get home? I'm talking about nice TVs. You know, but I've got one that works. I don't have a 4K TV. And it's just like the human body. The human body's a mother. It gets used to whatever you have. So as soon as you get a 4K TV, nothing else is good enough. You know, it's just human nature. That's how we adapted. That's how we didn't all die in the Ice Age. Well, the Neanderthals didn't make it, so I guess you're a Neanderthal if you don't adapt. But actually, I don't know why they didn't make it. Probably because they're too ugly to mate. Australopithecus. Yeah. Wormwood has a game table Kickstarter live right now with tables of all sizes, from coffee tables to hex-shaped tables to huge wargaming tables, but those are thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, you can afford it. You're an autocracy. You're a single man autocracy. I'm real frugal with shit like that, you know. I'm like, I've been poor before. And I'm like, I don't want to be there again. So you got to make sure you don't blow through money. You know, you can't have everything, you know. That's the thing about the internet, man. You only see the stuff that people have. You don't see the stuff that they don't have. And you only see the stuff that they let you see. So you could be sitting there going, man, this guy's got everything. Well, he's not going to show you the bad news, you know. You know, like Rick. Rick's got 3 vehicles, but you don't know is he's eating Funyuns. That's all he can afford to eat. No, but seriously, you know, that's what's really bad about the internet is, you know, you end up like, you know, being unhappy with what you have. I'm not saying you need to be a conformist or a socialist or anything, but, you know, none of us can have everything, you know. Neanderthals and humans did crossbreed. Oh, okay. Well, that explains a couple people that I work with. It's funny you say that. That's exactly how I felt about my own social media. Yeah, people don't let you see what they, you know, what they let you see. You know, like this is a student town. You see students like eating at places that I wouldn't eat. Like that's freaking too expensive. Like where are you getting the money? Well, you don't know that they're up to their asshole in debt, you know, or whatever, you know. Or as I used to say, you don't see Rich Daddy buying it for them. That's what it was when I was in school. Rich Daddy. You got schools got to start making 150 grand just to keep their quality of life the same. That's a tall order. That's a tall order around here. Now you get used to whatever it is that you have. You know, I don't even remember the days of I couldn't do this feed without the high-speed internet. Most students are getting money from mom. I think so. I think so. Students don't have a job and they're driving around in a $60,000 car. I'm like, what the hell, man? I don't have one of those, and I've been in my job for 30 years. I don't want one either. I don't want the payments. Yeah, you only see what people... That's the bad thing about the internet, I think. I think the social media is great for the hobby. I think it's really bad for so many other things. Like, man, look at that stuff that guy has, and I don't have it. You don't have it. He's just showing you the, he's just showing you all the good news. Okay, I think this guy's about right. Okay, next. It's a lot harder than I wanted it to be to cut this out, but it's all right. But I'm gonna need a break. I can feel that. I'm starting to feel like the same thing that when I was trying to take that flash off the underneath the machine gun. And I know what I'm going to do. The next batch I've got to do, I'm going to take one of the Dremel bits. There's not an actual Dremel. I got this Dremel set that wasn't Dremel brand. It's kind of a POS, but it works for what it is. And I'm going to take one of the mandrels and attach it like it was a bit on the hand drill, and use that to cut it, because you could do a hand drill really slow, and that'll be just enough to do that instead of just trying to gouge the stuff out, So on Monday we're supposed to be playing again, and we're supposed to be playing a naval game. Maybe I can talk. Nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be too busy. I was going to say I'm going to talk him into filming it, but Monday's going to be a royal bitch for me. Got a lot of stuff happening on Monday at work, so. But we have played the rule set once before, and everybody seemed to like it. A deck building game. I'd like to build a deck. Is this the game where you get to build your own deck? Yes, that's the one. I hate shuffling cards. Man, I hate the shuffle cards. I am no good at that. I've even watched videos. There's no hope for me. See, I gotta practice with the airbrush. I'm sure I'll get better at it. It's not that difficult. I gotta relearn stuff. And I would say that this airbrush is awesome, but it isn't. All the other airbrushes suck. This is exactly how an airbrush should behave. That sounds like a teeth cleaning. Have to shuffle a lot. I play it. Somebody else can shuffle it. There's people out there that like to shuffle cards, aren't there? Just like there's some of us that like to paint miniatures. I hate the shuffle cards. I'm no good at it. Maybe musicians are good at it. I don't have a musical bone in my body, so. I like any kind of games that have like custom dice. I'm a big fan of that. So I've never played it, but I think I would like Saga a lot. I don't like the Codex mentality. It's, hey, what are the rules for this? Oh, it's just in this other book. lost track of wherever the hell this is. Oh, here we go. Oh my gosh. I keep wanting to watch airbrush videos at lunchtime, but I keep getting distracted by watching sitcom. Just work has been a problem, so I'm like, man, I want to see something funny, so I end up watching situation comedies. And then the next thing you know, it's time to go back to the salt mines. What's the least favorite game you've played? What is the one game? I know it might be really hard for Rick to narrow it down because he has so many games. So what's the one game that somebody says, hey, let's play this? You're like, nah, I got to go get all my teeth pulled. I have two. I have two that I can think of. Let's put it that way. Nope, I just thought of two more. I got four I can think of. Four games right off the bat that somebody says, hey, oh, I just thought of a fifth game. 5 games that if somebody says, hey, let's play this, I'm like, nope. I gotta go in an alley and get raped. Sorry. That might be a little extreme, but you get the drift. You'd rather go get raped in the hole of not your choosing. Not your choosing. Oh, just board games, not video games. Video games, the worst video game I've ever played. There's a lot of bad ones, okay? I don't know if they have this for the PlayStation. I know you guys are PlayStation fans. I'm all Xbox, but they have this thing where they give you a free one every month. And there's this game called Watch Dogs. Worst game I've ever played in my entire life. You know, it seemed like all the bad controls of Grand Theft Auto, except worse, with none of the action, crossed with, it seemed like it had like a Fast and Furious feel with no cars and no racing. It was just god awful. It was the worst thing I've ever played. I didn't even get to pick the hole. That's right. Age of Sigmar, Warhammer 40K. Really? But that's all the rage. So what's the difference for somebody who doesn't know the difference? It seems like there was Warhammer Fantasy and there was Warhammer 40K. They started with that. Not even adding Epic. They had those two timelines and they were the same type of game all the way through. Then it looks like at some point they rebranded both of them. Well, I guess there's been other spin-offs of the fantasy stuff like Mordheim, or maybe Mordheim is its own thing. But now the latest thing is what? Kill Team, right? Or is that like a game within a game? I would rather not play Storm Chasers. It's a real-time rolling dice and moving around the board while someone spins a top that acts as a tornado, so it's pretty chaotic. And everybody's doing all the die rolling at once? Can't draw to mind any board game I would say no to playing the worker placement deck building games. Warhammer, if it was rank and file, then they ditched it for Age of Sigmar, which is similar to 40K style. Okay, so not units and stuff like that, where the figures are on round bases and squads. Okay. Well, I think rank and file is okay if you're playing somebody, you know, guys that you would think would be rank and file. Like, I wouldn't expect, like, orcs to sit there. What are you supposed to do? Just stand here? Yeah, you know, you can't get those guys to behave. They'd be all over the place. Okay. I haven't played any of them, and it's not because I've avoided it. It just, you know, the only way I would have played those games, I'm playing them first, then get the rules, and then go on. But I'm glad I didn't get into them because it would have just left me hanging, literally. All right, here's my list in no particular order. No, there is one game at the top. The game I'm going to mention that almost everybody has played that I cannot stand, I didn't even finish playing the game of it, was Catan. I don't want to have to trade with somebody. The game looks like ass. You know, it seems like I'm a cross between my nearsighted self and a freaking honeybee. Like, you can't see shit. It's all like, you know, not my kind of game at all. You know, being forced to trade, it's not that I don't want to trade with somebody, but sometimes you like what you have, you know? I don't know, I didn't finish playing games. It seemed like that was like a core mechanic of the game. You got to make a trade every turn. Like, I don't want to trade with somebody. You know, I like what I have here. I don't like being forced to do something. Just like I don't like those games where, okay, you've got to play the turncoat dickhead. Like, I don't want to be the turncoat dickhead, you know? There's a mechanic in the fantasy for orcs and goblins where at the beginning of the turn you roll a test for each of your units to see if they squabble with each other and have to charge randomly. So you don't have wood for sheep. I don't. No. No. No, I'm not from the British Isles. Unless you were the ONG player who would do what they wanted because a unit of orcs started fighting each other. Yeah. Catan is just ugly to look at. I don't mind board games at all, but they gotta look good. They gotta take you somewhere else. They gotta look like it's part of where you're going. I don't know. For me, you know, I wouldn't want to play something that's just nothing. Especially when it's themed for something. There's one game that's extremely basic, and I played it, and I actually like it a lot. And I think it's called Can't Stop. And it's just basically a press your luck game. And there's nothing to it, but it works because it doesn't have a theme of something, you know? Yeah. I don't like the trader. Yeah. I don't mind backstabbing people if it's a mechanic that I have to do to win at the very end. But I don't like going in like maybe it's a day you don't feel like playing a backstabber. Tough shit. You drew the backstabber. You got to be it, you know? Two other games I'd never play are both Avalon Hill games. One of them is Rise and Decline of the Third Reich. Absolutely hate that game. It's a snooze fest. The other one is 1830, which is a railroad game, which I'm not anti-railroad game, but oh, by the way, it's mainly a stock trading game. And it looks extremely abstract and it's boring as shit. And this one person I used to play with all the time, it was like their favorite game. So there's like a match made in hell. Hey, what do you want to play this game? No, the one game in your library I don't want to play. No, I don't want to play that. And I played it like 3 times. I tortured myself 3 times to play it. Hated that game. 1830. There is a railroad game that I love, and it's one of the most misnamed games ever. It's called Empire Builder, and it's a crayon game. I love that game. And there's no combat in it, believe it or not. So won't play Rise and Decline of the Third Reich or 1830. But the top worst game I've ever played that I can recall, there may be a worse one, is a Frank Chadwick game. I know I brought it up, called, you can look it up on Board Game Geek, but it's horrible. Soldier Kings. Absolutely horrible. It's supposed to be historical. It doesn't fit the period. It's awful to look at. It's make-believe lands, but oh, it's actually a map of Switzerland. Oh, which by the way looks ugly as shit because it's like in 2 colors. It's just like everything bad going for it, it's got. And there may be a worse game. I didn't even mention Mitch's least favorite game, which was Battlestar Galactica, and he was a fan of the show. And that was one of those, you know, you got to play the guys that have to, you know, take over the backstab people. Ticket to Ride is fun. It's okay. Mitch plays it a lot. I didn't play it until with him. Ticket to Ride is kind of like a poor man's version of Empire Builder. It's okay. What makes Empire Builder better is Ticket to Ride. There's only places you can put it. Empire Builder, you can go all over the place. You've got more flexibility, so to speak. More games tend to be more different in Empire Builder, and I've probably played it, I don't know, 12, 14 times. Of course, it's been a while since I've played it. It's probably been 20 years. More than 20 years. So, fun game. What was that? Merchant of Venus? Melf Pelts. Didn't like that Battlestar Galactica game. That's probably one I'd never play again, and I love the show. Yeah, Mitch hates that one. Mitch hates that one. It's funny, I didn't like it either, and we didn't play it at the same time. We both came away with the same impression. They also have like a Knights of the Round Table one. I forget what it's called, and it's the same thing. You know, you end up, one guy's a turncoat. Everybody else is kind of trying to cooperate to go on these things, and somebody's like throwing cards that keep you from getting shit done. And you know, I'm just not a fan of that mechanic. You know, and I generally play. My style of play is I do what's better for me to improve my position, not fuck your buddy. Now, there's a time to do fuck your buddy because it's either that or that guy's going to win. But I generally play my own game, you know. It's not that I'm oblivious to what other people are doing, but that's just not my main, you know. I go to try to, you know, to do what my own goals are. And then if you want to stop me, that's on you, you know. Are you talking about how he said he can't wait for people like him to leave the hobby, or did he say something else? Oh, did you see the latest crap that came out of the mouth? Yeah. Except on D&D. Some people just thrive on controversy. That came up the other week. Scott was explaining to me basically what the story was behind it, and I didn't know. But it seems like everybody revolted against him, so that's good. Like, this is what we're going to do. Well, screw you. We're going to go somewhere else. Good. I don't understand these people that make games. Just make games. Just make games, make them better. Don't get involved in politics or controversy. I don't give a shit about what your political leanings are. Just make the freaking game. You know? You gotta change the world. You're not gonna change anything. You're gonna make people hate you. He said he can't understand. My least favorite games to play are games where my friend's wife plays with us. Because that's exactly what he does. He'll king make if she's doing poorly to help her out, despite it being a competitive game? That story is about the open license, Tony. The one Rick and I were discussing is a worse thing than that. Well, I'm glad I'm not in the market for that because they don't get any of my money anyways, and that's just because they're not interested. I'm not interested in what they put out, you know. Although I was really thrilled, although I know it's not TSR or Wizards of the Coast or whoever it was, but I did go in the store and I saw that compendium that they had of those old D&D stuff. I don't even do fantasy stuff, and I haven't played D&D since 1985. But they had those compendium, which is like a thick book of all those early modules, including Keep on the Borderlands. I thought it was awesome. I flipped through it and I was like, this is super cool. Because I always wanted to do that like as a miniatures game, you know. You know, not a heavy miniatures game, but you know, you can role play and here's your little dude and you know. I have fond memories of that. I had that module and I sold it back on a while ago on eBay when I was trying to liquidate some of my stuff to get funds for something else. I don't know why I had the module. I hadn't done anything with it since 1985. And then my favorite one, the one that I had that, I'm sure there's many like this, but the one that I had that I'm like, no one could ever survive this, Tomb of Horrors. There's no way you're going to make it in Tomb of Horrors unless you've read it. I'm just like, you'd fall every time. Why would somebody check for traps right there? You know, just something really weird, like, you know, it would never occur somebody to do that. And, nope, sure enough, you're screwed. Let's make this a little bit bigger. I mean, this is taking a lot longer than it should have, but it's my own fault for waiting this long to do this. It's cured too much. But, you know, this method actually works pretty well. I haven't had any problems with doing it this way. But then in retrospect, I probably didn't need to put magnets on these things because I'm probably not going to travel with them. Unless I move or something. Yeah, Tomb of Horrors, yeah. What happens when you climb in that mouth? Why would you climb into a demonic mouth? Why would you climb into any open mouth that you can't see the bottom of when it's hanging from the wall? Like, idiot check, you know? You never do that. Okay. Let's see if Mr. Vacuum Cleaner's doing okay. I think it is. Oh, it's been charging all night. I guess I should empty this at some point. Supposed to be for my car. I never made it out there. It's going to keep a lot better here. It's not going to get baked in the sun inside of the vehicle. Sell stuff off no matter what the executives say. You see people burning their Nikes or say they'll never go to a Chick-fil-A or Hobby Lobby or Chick-fil-A. They can say what they want. Doesn't seem less of my enjoyment already known. Yep. Yeah, I still go to Starbucks. I try not to go to Walmart though. Screw those guys. It pissed me off taking ammo off the shelf. Not that I buy that much. You can't be trusted with it. Screw you. I don't need your Chinese shit. We got a Chick-fil-A here in town. I don't care where you go. It's busy as shit. And you still get in and out of there quicker than anywhere else. So they built it maybe like 2 blocks away from the old one, which was on the opposite side of the street. And I just found out they're refurbishing the old one as a drive-through only. So it's not even going to have an interior store, which is, I'm not a fan of fast food, but if I am gonna have fast food, I'm not gonna go and sit down inside the restaurant. I'm gonna eat as I go. Eat on the run. Not running from anything, but it's eating on the run. And let's just do 2 lines of this. Jeez, it's forearm day today. I'm glad I didn't go to the gym. I wouldn't be able to do this. It's going to be drive-through only. I'm sure that'll be packed too. I actually went through a Chick-fil-A the other day. Wait for it. And not the other day, but a few months ago, and they actually got my order wrong. I know that's hard to believe, but they did. They gave me a regular Coke instead of a Coke Zero, which just makes me angry. I don't do well with sugary drinks. They put me in a bad mood. Oh man, this is so thick. Let's see if we can get away with doing this before my arms give out. Thank goodness I had the hindsight to tilt this thing upside down. It'd be more, so I'm gonna go down a little bit more. I think there's a little bit more to one side than this one. I wonder how much you could be off by and it'll still bond. I'm thinking 20% or something like that. You're still going to get a bond. I don't play the version Dungeons & Dragons. I don't care. Okay, is that fine? Good evening. Good to see you back at the T-34s. I've been working on them. Yep. We got so many more T-34s to do. You have no idea. You have no idea. I have 4 more of this. No. I have 4. Yeah, I have 4 more of these. And then 3 more with a Chelyabinsk turret. So it's 7 more of the late war of the Model 42 ones. I call them Model 42. Sometimes they're called Model 43s. I call the Model 43 the ones that have the cupola on them. I don't want any of the cupola ones. They're too late. They're too late for my taste. All right, let's run this across here. So I got 7 more of them to do, and then the early ones I have a metric shit ton. It is a bunch of them to do. But we'll get there. After these 2, as soon as I get these glued and they're waiting, I'll show you what's coming up next. That I already primed, the couple of T-28s. That's what's up next. And they are not in the correct scale. And I think they will look just fine. I mean, I know they're not the right scale, but like I've said before, I either do something with them or I throw them away, and I don't feel like throwing them away. I just think it's wasteful to do that. And they're just playing pieces. So, luckily, it's two T-28s and a T-35, so they tend to be large vehicles anyways. It's not like I'm doing a T-34, and it's not vehicles that I have in 172nd or 176th anyways. So that's the only models of those that I have, and if I'm going to go with it, I probably won't get any 172nd scale ones. That makes it a little bit more useful to be able to use them because there's nothing next to them making them look so way out of scale of the same vehicle. It's a lot different using a 72nd and a 76th vehicle together as it is opposed to, you know, using a 187th and a 172nd of the same vehicle together. That's a bit extreme. That's a big ask. So finally received a PSC Check 38 Martyr kit. It's an awesome kit. It's going to start building TACOM 135th Panther G. I have, but grocery shopping took way too long, and now it's too late, and I'm tired. Well, I do enjoy building the models. I didn't. In October, I wasn't looking forward to doing it. I felt like it was taking too long. I don't mind. It's kind of a nice break. Kind of therapeutic. Assuming they go together okay. If they don't go together okay, then it's a pain in the ass. But just like with lead miniatures, it shouldn't be my job to clean them up. That's the manufacturer that has a crappy product. It should be their job to clean it up. Same thing with model kits. It's not my job to make them look fit together. They should have made them so they fit together. That doesn't mean I won't fix them, but I'm bitter about it, you know? Especially how expensive model kits are now. Don't enjoy painting. It's okay. I don't enjoy working on the yard. Mainly because it gets undone in a week. You know, if I painted stuff and a week later the paint would come off, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, I'm not doing this shit. Somebody else can do this. Ain't nobody got time for that. That's right. Okay, so here is the T-34s waiting in the wings. We'll let that dry for a little bit. Or overnight. Makes sense to do it overnight. Let's mess with some T-28s. Actually, we're going to leave one of these out here. Now I'll show you how these scale out. And yes, they are small. But they're just as long as these guys, which tells you how much bigger of a vehicle a T-28 was. Actually, they're longer. Here's the two T-28s. They have been primed. They have been dry brushed with the green. They've got Agrax Earthshade on them. And I think they will work just fine. Not only that, they're going to look good. Now, one thing is, I did ream these out. That's right, have fun with that word. So that these turrets would turn easier, but when I added the Agrax Earthshade, it looks like it got a little smaller. So this is actually the one for this one. Yep. And let's see if these little guys turn. Oh, these guys turn fine. It was just the main turret, I guess. Yep. Somehow it got... Man. Obstinate. There we go. This one actually has a little red star on it. Well, it's not red right now, but it will be. Okay. It's so yeah, I think these will work fine. They're wargaming things. You know, and they should be, I don't know, 10%, 15% bigger. Whatever. You know, I have them. Would I buy them now? No. I wouldn't even buy 176th. I want 172nd. But I already have them. So. Intend to build Daron with a Panther kit. Have a Dragon crew I bought for it. Going. Is it officially Dragon? Because I used to call them DML. Going to depict it being air attacked in September 44 on Dompierre, France. Alright, I gotta go grab a soda. I'll be right back. Alright. I think it's DML, but I just call them Dragon. I'm not sure. I think they're called Dragon now. I remember when they hit the scene in the early 90s. Their stuff was good. At that time, they got separate link track. I hate separate link track. Well, you know, I was like 20. I don't mind it now. It's kind of therapeutic. All right. Commie tank time. These are going to look excellent. Just you wait. And then, the big brother's right around the corner. This is plenty big. I mean, yes, that means the original one is like freaking massive, but this will work. And these are all by a company called Primo, spelled Premo. Made in Russia, and I probably got them around 1982. So, you flat out refuse to build a kit that has rubber band tracks. Well, if you're doing 1/35th scale, yeah, I'm with you. You know what's worse than that? Those damn resin ones. They're like, oh, just put it in hot water and bend it. Bullshit. Never been able to do that. F that. That's no good. Yeah, as somebody who's not versed in 28 millimeter, I get all those brands mixed up. I get Warlord mixed up with Victrix, mixed up with Atlantic. It's all the same to me because I don't know them, you know. But you know, if I got to know them, I'd be like, oh, this is one of these, and this is one of that, and this is that brand, but not the other one, you know. I'm just not in the know. Let's use this brush. So, interesting point, and I'll have to point these out to you because I think this is very cool. So, this is a brush that I cleaned, and I told you you could use that soap called Myers soap, and it actually cleans brushes really well. I wouldn't buy it just for cleaning brushes. It's, you know, hand soap. I found out something that cleans brushes even better. You ready? Purell. So I've already washed this brush. It's dry and everything. Wait. Look at how that goodness is coming out. Well, it's actually badness. Oh, let's make sure we don't make a mess. I bet it'll probably strip paint. Don't let this... Ooh! I wonder if it's a good paint stripper. Take plastic models, paint Purell on it, see if the paint comes off. Oh shit, I gotta try that. You guys want me to try that? Let's do it. Look at this. That's amazing. Australian Greg doing Russian landship. That's right. That's right, Russian landship. We're about to do an experiment. We're gonna do it live. Let's get that damn check 38 out. I think I threw it in here. Well, I did throw it in here. The question is, where did I throw it in here? Nope, it's not that one. Here it is. Hey, I find something cool. I like to share it with you. I don't get like a thrill keeping stuff away from folks. All right, let's get a brush so we don't mind if it gets raked. Here's one. Oh, this one's all messed up and stuff. I'm just gonna... Let's see what the hell happens here. Well, here's the color of this brush that's coming off. But we should be able to get the bare metal. Now this I might have actually used spray paint on this, so that may not work. Okay, it doesn't work with spray paint. This was, I think at one point I may have done, based on the vintage of this, Acryl. Model Master Acryl had a spray cans, rattle cans that came in this color. And I think that was, I mean, it wasn't Acryl coming out of it. Okay, so it doesn't work on that. Well, now that I not pulled it out, damn it. Where's my German half tracks? Here they are. This is certainly acrylic paint. Hey, maybe it won't work. I have no idea what manufacturer of 251/1D this is. But this is the one that's going to get repainted anyways. Let's see what we get here. Yep, it's coming off. Want to get acrylic paint off? It looks like there was some kind of, looks like I spray painted it. See this spray paint that's underneath here? This is the spray paint. This is the I think it was called Africa mustard that they used to call it for the acryl. And of course, this is all gonna get repainted. If you want to take off acrylic paint, use Purell. I mean, this is old. I painted this shit, I don't know, well, 20 years ago. We're going to redo all these, and well, we got to get, I haven't even done the gray half tracks, so we're going to do the gray half tracks before we do the other ones. But look at that. Just a little bit of Purell and scrub it on there. Okay. Experiment complete. And it doesn't hurt the plastic. What is Purell? They don't have it. Man, you got some dirty people in Australia. Hand sanitizer. And let's see, what's the container of this? It's mostly water, isopropyl alcohol, caprylyl glycol, glycerin, isopropyl, yeah, whatever. This is in the Science Channel. Did Gosh Deutschland have half tracks? You bet they did. But I'm not going to do ones that are specific for a unit. Yeah, they had half tracks. And at Kursk, they were like the most powerful, even though they were a Panzer Grenadier division, they were like the most powerful unit. Still couldn't break through those static defenses. Duh. They knew you were coming there. Stupid Nazi. Stupid Nazi. All right. Let's take one of these that isn't in the way of anything else. Oh, we'll just rip this corner. Oh, this is a different material. That'll still work. We'll rip this corner off. Now these are 1/87th scale T-28s. Did they have them in 41, 42? Yes. Yes. Yep, in Invasion of Russia, I'm pretty sure they had a Stug battalion that was attached to them from the get-go. They were a motorized division, and then in 42, I'm pretty sure they had a whole tank battalion attached to them. Or intrinsic tank battalion. And then in 43, they went to full. The units that got the new tank replacements in 42 tended to be ones that were in the South, but ones that were operating in the Ukraine. And I'm talking about, 1942, Fall Blau. And they tended to be the new units. So like the SS units, when they got bumped up and got extra tanks, they ended up preferentially getting the long-barreled 3s and the long-barreled 4s. Doesn't mean they didn't have other stuff in them, but they preferentially had them, as opposed to some unit like, 8th Panzer, which was up in the north over in the Demyansk period. They never got the long-barreled tanks until probably really later, probably late 43. There just weren't enough of them to go around, so they had to kind of pick and choose. So like new units that were constituted like the guys that went to Stalingrad, the 2 Panzer Division went to Stalingrad weren't some of the original ones. Well, 14th was, but 14th was the original. What's the other one? 24th? That used to be an old cavalry division. So when it did get bumped up, it got the new tanks, or it got many of the new tanks. You've used Dettol. Okay, Greg, what's Dettol? You'd by chance know where I could find detailed order battle for the division in 41, 42? I don't right now, but I'll be able to. I'm sure I'll be able to. It's probably not very interesting in 41. In 42, it gets really interesting. All right. Russian green. And we're just going to go over this. Yeah, I was actually surprised how little of a mess I did with the airbrush. Because one thing is, I'm using a glove on my left hand, and that helps a lot. And I'm painting really, really thin, so in moments, I can touch what I just sprayed. So it's going really well. Unfortunately, unless it's a weekend, I have one of those like sight devices that has almost like well, it looks like oh man, what was that name? What was that Tom Clancy thing where it's the guy that goes behind enemy lines and shit like that? Anyways, it's a device you wear on your head, you know, that allows you to, like, if you're working on a car or something like that, you have lights everywhere. Because I don't have a light like this out in the garage, and I'm not going to. This is too nice. These lights are too nice to put them out in the garage. So it actually works really well. I've spray painted quite a few things at night and have no problem with visibility with it. Splinter cell, that's what it is. I got the splinter cell gear going on. So that's working all right for me. Yeah, this is pretty light. I can pretty much touch back what I'm doing. So Tony, you're curious. I think you mentioned that you are not into city fighting scenarios, but would seem like face of battle rules would be cool for that now. Yeah, it could be. It could be. Now, I've got 2 city blocks, and each city block is about, I could have this wrong. It seems like it's 8.5 by 11. And, you know, of course it's like 2, or I might even be 3 stories. 3-story resin, all built. And I've got 2 sides, which, you know, kind of sucks because that's all I have. You know, I don't have anything more to it than that, but it has a sidewalk and everything. And I want to say it's made by a company called Queen's Hussars, and it's all resin. It has floors and stuff that can go on there. And yeah, that would be, you know, but you could just have like a mini scenario where you're just playing like on a 2 foot by 2 foot table. You got to go take that building, you know, or rescue those hostages or something like that. Yeah, it seems like it'd work pretty good for it. If it doesn't work good for face of battle, it's going to work better for face of battle than any other rules. Let's put it that way, because it does strive on those kind of details where, you know, but the ranges are really short. So, but that's what you want. You want people to get stabbed with a bayonet. That's what makes the game different than other games. But I mean, as far as history, I'm not really interested in like city fight because it's a little too, you know. I'm not a Stalingrad fan, I think is what I said. Is I'm not a big fan of Stalingrad. Mainly because, you know, as a 1/35th scale, an X 1/35th scale modeler, you know, you follow kind of the unit histories and the markings and stuff like that. And the Panzer units that were at Stalingrad are just not very exciting. You know, I really do not like the symbol of the 24th Panzer Division. If you're a 24th Panzer Division fan, well, I'm not a fan of them. I don't like that jumping horse. Just like I don't like the 21st Panzer Division in North Africa. I don't like a D. Hey, let's come up with it. What do you want to come up with? A D. Nice. No. Out of here. So, and there's some units that interest me more than others. Give 'em a D. You saw an image where the modeler painted M11340s that were captured by the Aussies in gray-green rather than conventional sand. I may have to reassess my... I saw that recently, too. I bet we looked at the same thing. Had like 4 of them, right? Had one that was an had one that was an M1139 and three M1340s. I'm not a fan of captured vehicles. I mean, I gotta have a lot of regular vehicles before I start making captured vehicles. Like, you know, I don't mind having a captured T-34 after I have 15 T-34s that aren't captured. You know, because that's just kind of the exception of the rule. 29th motorized. I'm not familiar with that one. You know, there's units that, you know, I'm more of a fan of than others, and I just from where they were, the battles they were in, and the logos. Not that, you know, that I think any Nazis are worth a damn. But for the Wehrmacht, I like on the Eastern Front, I like the Grossdeutschland, the 7th, the 7th, the 11th, the 6th. Who else? That may be it. Not a fan of the 5th with their little devil thing, whatever. You know, looks out of place. Or the 3rd did all the bears, you know, because it was like a unit that had their old insignia was like a bear. So you've got like these Panzer IVs and stuff that have like a bear on the shirts, and yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Panzer is cool. 116th, I like the Greyhound. Greyhound's cool. That's probably it. I just mean from the standpoint of like, if I was going to build a model, or if I was going to, you know, that's the kind of that those are the ones that kind of interested me. Yeah, the only thing I don't like about Panzer is they're basically Western Front only, and you know, which is limiting, and they you know, they don't show up until Normandy. They're basically a training unit, or originally they were a core of a training unit. The same way that 12th SS was a bunch of you know, Nazi Girl Scouts originally. See, I'm not a fan of captured vehicles, and I also will not do any Czechoslovakian or Polish units in Soviet service. I think it's just dirty. It just feels bad. You know, oh yeah, we're gonna come liberate your country. Yeah, F you. You know, no. If I'm gonna do Poles, they're gonna be 1939 Poles with their own equipment, which makes them really cool. With their own equipment, their own helmets, their own uniform, you know. Not, you know, communist liberating Poles. Yeah, bullshit. Yeah, 116th looks cool. I had there's a picture or illustration somewhere that I had a long time ago. It's probably one of the Panzer color books or something like that. And it's 116th Jagdpanzer IV with the 48, the L48 on it, and Dunkelgelb with just green on it. And I think that's just a classic look. And I do have a Jagdpanzer IV to do, so I'm probably going to do it with green like that. Or Curse 43. I'm not a fan of, well, we've already talked about this. I'm not a fan of Dunkelgelb before you have to do it. I know you're not either. That's why I brought it up. I don't mind putting camouflage colors on the Panzer Gray as long as it's dominantly Panzer Gray, not the, you know, the dominantly Dunkelgelb with some gray in it. You know, it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look right to my eye. I can't paint every vehicle, so I might as well paint the ones that I find attractive. Okay, the bodies on both of these are done. Let's do some turrets. Let's see if I can get away with something. Where is these pair of tweezers that are not very good, but they do lock? I got these that lock big time, too much. This one. And I don't lock. They're under tension. And let's see if I can get away with doing this. I don't think I'm going to be able to, but we'll try. We'll see how much we can do it. On a good source page from Constitution, I think I'm going when I'm starting France 40. Spanning for Barbarossa, I'm thinking of playing out some of the Hurtgen Forest scenarios. With your interest in small-scale actions, would the Warsaw Rising be something you'd be game? No. It just seems... Those poor people got screwed. Something fierce. Nah, it's too late. Not at all. It's too built up. You know, you gotta do a lot of, like, destroyed buildings and shit like that. I got a couple of videos saved on YouTube that... These people built some destroyed buildings from scratch that... I gotta build the things I already have that aren't from scratch before I start going down that route, but no, not really. The closest thing to something like that, Greg, and it's not close at all, would be do French resistance fighters in like a city and stuff like that. But I don't want to do Polish uprising that got screwed by both sides, and I just feel bad. I got a soft spot for the Poles and the stuff that they went through. And some of it might have to do with, you know, I don't know. We had this priest that was from Poland that did a service for my dad's 90th birthday. My dad being from Cuba, definitely some similarities between the two. In a lot of ways. And yeah, he was telling some of the stories that, well, I already knew about them because I'm a World War II nut, but, you know, those people went through some shit. You know, it's not like they just sat around and didn't do anything. I mean, you know, they volunteered in the Royal Navy and Air Force and stuff like that, and did all that fighting, and they come back to find out they got backstabbed by the Soviets one more time. So, not a fan. We didn't drill out the barrels on these two cannons. There's a new book on migration coming out from Osprey in March, I think. And the subject, in March or May, one of the two, the subject of it is called, like, The Tanks of Migration. Which is a weird named operation because, you know, it's named after the Russian general. You mean that had a French name? Just weird. Bagration. But anyways, there's a book coming out with it, and I've got at least eight T-34-85s to do, which, that's a good looking tank, you know? Okay, Greg. Thanks for coming by. So I got a lot of T-34-85s to do. I got that JSU to do. I got some SU-100s, 2 of them. Die cast. They look pretty rough. They'll paint up just fine. Just got to give them some TLC. I bet these will be the best T-28s from Primo you've ever seen. I know it's not saying a whole lot because there's not a lot of stuff out there, but It is a short 76. It is basically like a 76 millimeter infantry gun. And it may only have had HE. It's quite possible that they only had HE in it. I do not know. But it is a shorter 76 millimeter gun than the shorter 76 millimeter gun that was in the T-34s and the KVs. Because early T-34s had a shorter barreled gun that was still, you know, still a problem for the Germans, but this one's even shorter. This is a very infantry gun type length. It's like 26 caliber, maybe even less than that. And 2 machine gun turrets. The one that has the 45 millimeter turrets is the T-35. That's the big mama. And I do have one of those to do. Also, they're out of scale. You know, these should be bigger. This is 187th instead of 176th or 172nd. So these are running small. However, these are rather large tanks. So I think in the grand scheme of things, they'll look just fine. You know, the Soviet 45 millimeter gun wasn't a bad gun. You gotta remember, there's a lot of German tanks running around with 37 millimeter guns invading Russia. And the only downside to the 45 millimeter gun, as opposed to the 37, is the 45 millimeter gun has not very many crewmen in it, in the turret. It's a 2-man turret. Of course, the Czech 38s have a 2-man turret as well, and 35s. It's only the Panzer IIIs that have 37 millimeter guns, which is not the majority. Most Panzer IIIs had a 50 in it by that point, but the ones that had a 37, they did have a 3-man turret. So okay, that's the 2 machine gun turrets. Got that. Now we take this color. Actually, we need to go to the wet palette, because we want to do a mix, and we want it to stay alive, so we're not doing all that extra work all the time. So put this aside. Grab the wet palette, wherever the hell it went to. Here it is. Underneath the decals, as they say across the pond. Decals. 8 folks. Good evening. In the last 2 days, I got in a shitload of Facebook friend requests, which I accept them. Because I figured, I look on it, oh, you're friends with a bunch of people I'm friends with, you know, because I use Facebook really for hobby related stuff. So as long as you're in the hobby, you don't post a bunch of like political crap on there. I don't give a shit about people's politics. They are, especially if you're a Marxist. But I really don't want to see anybody's politics. There's some people out there that just believe in, they have too much faith in everyone. I don't want to hear about politicians. Just stick to the hobby, and you're not going to put something on your page that's going to piss me off, but I don't want to be constantly bombarded by, hey, this person said something else political. I don't care about that. I do this to get away from the real world. All right, this is just dark sand. All right, and let's just go ahead and put these two out of the way and back where they go. And let's take this dry brush thingy and move it over here. Use one that's a little smaller. It's where sometimes when someone sends a request I don't recognize, I have no mutuals with, they shoot a quick message and say something like follow you on YouTube or something. Yeah, it makes you kind of wonder what they're up to. I just look at their page and see what kind of stuff they posted. And sometimes people like posting, you know, those Ray-Ban deals or whatever. They just post like a bunch of like fake advertising things that, come on, man, you should know that that's not really, you're not going to get sunglasses for 25 bucks. You know, it doesn't work that way. I'd rather them subscribe to this channel than follow me on Facebook, because, you know, I got with one guy that I know, it's, as we like to say, none too bright. He's like, well, I don't have the money to subscribe to you. I'm like, you don't understand the way YouTube subscription works then, pal. It doesn't cost anything. It's just the more subscribers you have, the more your channel gets recommended to folks. So there may be people out there would love to see what we're doing here, but they're not subscribed, so they don't know about it. You know, not a subscription. I don't want a Patreon. I don't want your money. Just come hang out with me. That's it. Share ideas and hang out, or not. I don't want people sending me money. Then you have a say in what I do. Then it's not therapy. Then it's an underpaid job. I don't want people telling me what to do. I don't tell other people what to do. You know, just because I'm doing one scale, you guys can do whatever the hell you want. Man, play other rule sets. I don't care. I play other rule sets. Other scale doesn't bother me any. I'm just picky about what I'm going to spend my time creating. But I'll play other stuff. As long as it's fun. Doesn't bother me. I don't like Flames of War. I'll play Flames of War. One of the guys I play with puts on Flames of War stuff at the convention and scenarios. I'll play it. You know, it doesn't scratch my World War II itch enough, but we need a little bit of flow aid, or as I like to call it, re-wetting drops. Even though we're dry brushing, we need this a little bit wetter so that there's something here to brush off. How do I feel about painting 10mm infantry, AT guns, and artillery with 6mm tanks vehicles? I wouldn't mix the two, but that's just me. The only thing I could handle being at a scale is I could see planes being small, like ground attack aircraft, being a different scale than the ground vehicles, just because they're kind of on a different level. But other than that, it wouldn't occur to me to do it something different. I don't like games. I shouldn't say I don't like, because that makes it sound like I'm not going to play that game because it's based that way. I don't want to base my infantry on stands for World War II with multiple people on the stand. I want them individual. I want them to be individual people. Not a fan of 6mm infantry. Yeah, they lack personality. Flames of War is fun. It's done without the point and value of this. That to be scenario and such. Plus, you got to play it with non-tournament minded players. That's right. Like I said, if you play something quick, you could switch sides, play it twice. You get to experience different problems. You know. I'm here for the narrative. I'm here for the narrative. When it comes to World War II stuff, that's what I'm here for. But it's the people, not necessarily it's a tournament. Because I've had some really good folks that I've encountered in playing tournaments in DBA. And I had some really poor people that have played just a regular game where there was nothing to win or nothing. And they were just, you know, being unfun. Had a bad attitude. So it's the person, not necessarily the type of game that you're playing for sure. You know, it depends who they're playing against too. You can't be like, well, we're going to play everything. We're going to make sure you play by the rules. Okay, fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that. But then when it's that person's turn to say that, they want to be loose with the rules. Oh, no. That's pistols at 30 paces, pal. You got to be consistent. And there's a lot of people that are that way, unfortunately. Not necessarily ones that I play with or have played with of late, but so for big tournament style, whatever you want, field, scenario, whatever you want, more field. People who are tournament minded are not fun to game with. It's more than just tournament minded. It's people that only, like, they'll do cheesy shit and they won't admit that it's cheesy. Because if the rules let you get away with it and you're in a tournament, hey, no big deal, right? It's in the rules, you know. But it's only cheesy when you do it, but not when they do it. That's just some dishonorable lack of integrity. I call it honor. My boss calls it integrity. That's some dishonorable shit. Who you fooling? Yourself. One of the folks that I play with this the last convention mentioned about one of the players that was coming back. He's like, oh, he's back again. Now I got to remind him to, I got to watch him like a hawk because he plays kind of loose. There's another reason to get out of it. I don't got time to deal with that shit. People that play loose. Yeah, that's code for cheater. That's some dishonorable shit. I don't have time for that. You just found out Gras Deutschland fielded a total of 6 Stugs in France in 1940. Interesting number. 6, huh? Yeah, they were just a regiment at that point, I think. So they had an attached platoon, I guess. I guess that'd be a heavy platoon. 6. The SS troops that I have from combat miniatures that I haven't painted yet are actually for France, because the equipment that they have for their support weapons, they have MP-28s as their submachine guns, the junior officers, and they have the Czech whatever ZBV whatever the hell it's called that the SS troops got from the Czechs for early war. They classified the Stugs as a company. 6 Stugs. And a company? What is that, 3 platoons of 2? And no command vehicle? Or you mean 6 and 1 to 5 scale? Yeah, 1 to 5 scale, that'd be a company. Yeah, they had it. They were a motorized regiment at that point. Just started this last week a new book on the Eastern Front. It's called On a Knife's Edge. And It's interesting. The author, I've read a couple of his books before, and I couldn't make out what nationality he was by his name, but he's apparently a doctor. He's like an MD doctor. I don't know where he's from, but it looks like he's from India. He speaks perfect English. I like his books a lot. Somehow he made it his hobby to read, to write about the Eastern Front. You know, it's totally different than working on people. So, Prit Buttar, I believe is what his name is. And although I was listening to it today and I found a glaring error in it. Well, glaring for me, he was talking about the 22nd Panzer Division that got built up, went into service in 1942 with obsolete tanks, and they said, yeah, they used Czech 35s, and they did not. They used Czech 38s. There was only one unit by Barbarossa that used Czech 35s, and that was the 6th Panzer Division. And it's unlikely that they had very many of them running after the winter of 41. There's 5 or 6 units that use Czech 38s. They made a hell of a lot more of them. They're a lot better tank. Better running gear, more reliable. The Czech 38 running gear is actually pretty darn good. Did I do the dusting on this thing? I think I did. It's just subtle. Well, we're gonna pop it up more. They upped the Stugs to 7, so maybe the command tank decided to set off France. Well, some of those units had a command vehicle that didn't exactly look like the other vehicles. Like, for instance, and many people make models of this vehicle. You know the Porsche Tiger, the Porsche Tiger 1, that the hull was for the ended up being the Elephant or the Ferdinand, actually both. It had a turret, which is an unattractive vehicle because the turret was a lot farther forward than the center line. It just looks really off balance. They only made one of them. They made one of them as a turreted vehicle, a Porsche Tiger. I don't know, VK, who knows what the hell it was, okay? I don't know the VK things. But they made one of them. And they used it as a command tank for one of the Panzerjäger battalions that the Ferdinands were in Italy. So if you see a picture of it, whatever unit number it was, 301 or whatever the hell it was, that's the one. They only made one of them, so you've got to paint it like that one if you do. And several people make models of that vehicle, and I think that's just kind of strange for such a off-the-wall one-off of a vehicle, The Command Panzer 1s are really odd looking. Yeah, not a very attractive vehicle. Almost like a pulpit. Somebody's preaching, National Socialist ideology from there, Not a fan. Not a fan of those. And so's the munition schlepper based on it. There's that 3D printing company called, I think it's called Wargaming 3D. They make all kinds of vehicles. They make all kinds of vehicles that were weird. And the other day I was bored and decided to have their page open on their catalog and open up another page where I would just take the name of it and I would paste it in Google and see if it could tell me something about these vehicles, because there were vehicles that they made very, very few of, but yet they make a 3D model printing of them. And one of them was I don't remember what the word for it is because it's a super long word. But it's basically like the big FAMO half-track cut off as a pickup truck. And in the back of the pickup truck was a Flak 18, so an 88 millimeter gun on where it could turn. I think it could turn 360, but it, for an anti-tank roll. So I'm like, okay, when did these guys serve, and how many did they make? They only made like 10 of them, and they all served on Army Group South, and they didn't think very many of them were left in 1943 because they fought around Stalingrad. I think, well, that's kind of interesting, and it could tell you what anti-tank battalion they served in. It's like an independent anti-tank battalion. So I think that's pretty cool, So I did that with several vehicles that came up like, man, they make a miniature of a Flammpanzer 1. I'd never heard of a Flammpanzer 1. Apparently a Flammpanzer 1, they only made 10 of them. They were converted in North Africa from Panzer 1As. And that's the one that obviously was the earlier Panzer 1, but it had if you look at the idler wheel on the back, it's lower to the ground. It kind of droops, the tracks droop towards the down for the A's. The B's, which was the later version, the more, I'd say, common version that you would see is the tracks almost goes straight across the top, but the A idler wheel is lower on it. And yeah, they converted like 10 of them for use in North Africa, and it almost looks like a Panzer II turret on top of a Panzer 1. So I'd never heard of a Flammpanzer 1. Well, they didn't have that vehicle in Advanced Squad Leader, so I didn't. I never played with one. So they make all kinds of different vehicles I never heard of. Like they make a T-60 Soviet tank with a rocket launcher on it. Like instead of its turret, but they don't make a standard T-60. Well, that's a shame, because I could stand using some T-60s. 3 or 4 of them. Not a very good vehicle. That doesn't matter. I'm not building stuff because it's awesome. These things are a piece of shit. Has nothing to do with it. I know there's people out there, tournament players. I'm not building that. Why? It's a piece of shit. I don't play in a tournament. Can't win. I don't care about that. I want the scenario, the narrative. That was just 2 of the vehicles that came to mind. I'm like, why would you make that? They make a miniature for the captured. Here's another interesting vehicle. An A-13 that were captured, when the BEF left France. Well, they had to leave their equipment. The Germans captured a handful of A-13 tanks. Cruiser tanks. And again, they made a Panzerkampfwagen, whatever the hell it was, but it was basically a captured A-13. They make a miniature of it, and there's like differences on it. Like they have like some extra things added on to the turret sides or something like that. So I'm like, well, where the hell are these coming to action? They were command vehicles for, and there was like 7 of them or something like that. And if my numbers are off, well, I read this about a month ago, so I forgot. But there was a handful of vehicles that served as command tanks in the Flammpanzer unit. I want to say it was Unit 100 that used the Flammpanzer 2s. So they were command vehicles in the Flammpanzer 2 units in early 41. So they're there, you know, and they actually make a 135th scale model, several people of them, of a captured A13, and the turret looks slightly different. It's got a lot more stuff on it. I don't know that it improved the armor any, but you know, I guess when they run out of 2-pounder ammunition, they run out of 2-pounder ammunition, because I don't think it replaced the gun. I could be wrong, but they make a miniature of that as well. And that is an odd vehicle. It's, I think, single digits. I think it's single digits that they, you know, they captured and converted over. You found out you have a scenario of the main decision depicting Grossdeutschland's attack at Stan in 1940. Yep, I played that scenario in ASL. I believe it's called Counterattack at Stan. So Stan Counterattack or something like that. Yeah. It's Grossdeutschland versus, I believe it's versus French. Yeah, I got to get really close with that Stud 3B. Put that hollow charge round if you counter that Char B. Okay, so this is our starting point. And I got to go take a potty break, and I'll be right back in a few. Looks relatively tank light, and that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, they took on the French infantry regiment, several platoon of H-39s and Char Bs. I honestly can't keep track of the the R tanks and the H tanks. One of them was heavier than the other. I don't remember which one. I'm sure you'll tell me. Soviet tanks in combat. So, are there any pictures by Zaliga, of course. Now, this is a reprint of this is a military book club thing that I got back in the early 2000s. There's a reprint of a Concorde, actually 97. Let's see if they've got any color plates here with some T-28s that I'm just dying to. These have a bunch of writing and shit up here on the back. I don't know what I'm going to do with this conical one. It's hard to find. So this is like the 1935 model one, and the 1941 is this one. And it's hard to find stuff for it. Well, you can find stuff. It's just not common. I don't think that they made that many of them. It was an L10 gun, a 76 millimeter L10. That's extremely inaccurate. Let's see if we got any color plates here. Nope. All T-34s, 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 T-34s. No love for the T-28. I've got quite a few pictures saved, but I just figured, well, got this book here. Let me see if it has it on there. Nope. Basically the same tank, okay. Does one of them have more armor than the other? Maybe one had more armor than the other one. All right, let's pick one of these guys. We're going to pick this one. Oh, got the turrets reversed. The body's the same, but this one's missing one small little piece, so we decided to make it the later one. I don't know. Doesn't really make much of a difference. Let's get one of these brushes that's kind of shitty, but not. I'll take vague for 1,000, please. Yeah, I don't know much about French tanks. You know why? Never built any. As soon as you build stuff, you find out about them. All right, let's pick out some stuff that would have highlighting. Now, this right here was a place where a red star would sometimes go, so one of these definitely is going to have a red star there. I'm going to try to make it that it's not both, just to give them some individuality. Man. H-35 and Renault, they're pretty much the same tank, just built by two different companies. One of them, they actually made a version of one of them that had a pretty decent length gun. And I'm talking about one of the tanks that had a 37, not the 47, because the 47 was a pretty decent gun, but that was pretty much mounted only in the Charbis and the S-35s, and maybe a different tank. I don't know much about the D2s, but of the 47 millimeter gun is actually a pretty darn good gun. It's like better than the German 50. Did they have any 50s in France? They probably did. Towards the end, but not very many. towards the end of France. What, like 2 weeks later? 2 weeks from the beginning. H-39 had an upgraded engine, making it faster, and they upgraded the gun to 37 millimeter in 38. Well, what did it have before? They didn't always have a 37 millimeter gun? Maybe a longer 37 millimeter gun. I do not know. Hotch kiss. Kiss my hotch. I don't know. A same tank with the engine and 39, only the real difference. Yeah, I don't know enough about them. I think they're both made by S model. So the day they decide to do French, if oh shit. Oh. H-39 had the same gun, huh? Wasn't there also an AMX 35 or something like that? That shit's confusing. It really is. Well, we should be on tomorrow morning again for our regularly scheduled program. I don't think either one of these is going to have a slogan on them, because not many of these were around during the period after when slogans started to appear. You know, they were like motivational things for keep you from your army routing and stuff like that. And they hadn't really developed it. That was kind of a thing that they did all the time. I'm actually gonna call it a night. I'm gonna call it a night. We'll finish doing this coloration of the turret and this other tank in the morning. But as always, thanks for coming by. Yeah, I'm like yawning. I'm like, I don't need to put more caffeine in me. I'll have trouble going to sleep. So we will catch you guys tomorrow. And we'll pick it up then. All right, folks.